My name's Sarah Clancy. I'm a horror writer, and this is my first ever interview. So I'm very excited. Thank you so much for having me and for all your wonderful questions. So let's get started. Question one: do you read Goosebumps? I'm turning 33 this year. I still have my Goosebumps. I love Slappy. It was the scariest. Okay. Question two: do your own stories scare you? I will admit, sometimes late at night when I've got my headphones on and I'm typing away and there's suddenly a loud noise, my first thought does jump to, oh, okay, there's zombies in my house. So, yes, sometimes they can. Other times they're more like an old friend. Okay, number three. Do you want your books to be made into movies? I think that would be a very fun, very flattering, and very challenging thing to happen. But anyone who writes a story is seeking an audience, and really the two main ways people get audience these days are books and movies, and of course, TV will be the third. So to have your work go from one genre to another, it would be a very, very just beautiful experience. If it's not really my goal, it's not something I'm actively striving for, but if it happened and someone wanted to do it, I would love that. Okay, number four. Who other than yourself is your favorite horror writer? Well, by far and away, my absolute all-time favorite would be Edgar Allan Poe. He can write very, very creepy things. He was very good at making slight scares, big scares without any gore. It was all suspense, and I really liked that. My more recent favourites would be Barry Langer, I Hunt Killers, and Madeline Rocks, the Asylum series. Okay. Next question. Why did you choose to write horror instead of any other genre? That's the exact same question my mother asked me. I've always been fascinated with urban legends and ghost stories and all that sort of stuff, the little cheap thrills and scares. And honestly, I was fascinated with it, but I didn't think I could ever be a horror writer. I didn't think I could be scary enough. So I had an editor one day ask me to give it a go, and I just found it so fun to write that I can't really imagine myself sticking to any other genre full time. I can dabble in other genres, I can write this, that, and the other, but horror is just fun. Which of your books is your favourite? You're asking me to choose between my babies? I will admit, Black Bayou is the first ever book that got properly published with my name on it, so it'll always have a little place in my heart. So far, the favourite would be Midnight Screams. And this is because I got to write about a banshee. If you don't know Irish mythology, banshee is normally seen as a woman that will come and scream in front of a household where someone who lives there is about to die. Sort of like a urban legend warning system. You've seen it like sort of in X-Men, and they had a character in Teen Wolf who was a banshee. And what I loved about this urban legend was the parallels. In some stories, she was very sympathetic and very sorrowful, and it was more of this terrifying but heartwarming thing of, I'm here for you. I'm sorry this is going to happen to you, but I'll be here for you. And in other stories, she was like Nelson from The Simpsons, just coming up of, you're going to die. And I loved that parallel, and I loved the idea that there was this creature in horror mythology that wasn't inherently evil. She was just the messenger. So I was very excited that I got to write all about that, which is always fun. Let's have a look here. Number 7. How old were you when you wrote your first book? Well, technically 12. I'm still very proud of this. It's got the little sticker from the principal, and the reason this one holds so much place in my heart is because that was the first time I thought I could actually give writing a go as a profession. I thought I could be an author. The first one that got published under my name properly, that was when I was 30. So slight age difference gap between 12 and 30 there. What is your favourite book? For me, you'll have your steadfast favourites, but there won't just be one book in particular. It will all depend on your mood. And I've also found that it'll depend on what I'm reading at the time. For instance, I have decided to read the classics. I'm reading Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre, and I am loving it. And I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be my favourite. And at the same time, Edgar Allan Poe's The Pit and the Pendulum, just so scary, so good. All of it, the whole story is a guy literally in a pit, and he makes it terrifying. So those are two that I really, really do love and adore. But yeah, it will all change in my mood. Why do you write? I think that was actually a hard question, because it's hard to explain that it's just something that I naturally do and that I've always wanted to do. It's something I used to do on a Friday night for fun. I would sit down and I would write. It was something I just adored doing. I loved building stories and characters and having all these things in my head and then being able to put them on the page and essentially put them in someone else's head, and I just love to do it. It just makes me really happy. And my lucky last question, how do you get your ideas? This question has been one that I have asked numerous authors, and it's been one that I have looked at all the answers to, and I normally get in interviews, you normally get the answer that it's, I had a dream, or I came across this one thing and it got me thinking. And sometimes it does work like that. Sometimes you write all your ideas down in a journal, and when you look at it, you're like, hey, there's a story there. But writing at its very heart is a profession, and in the end, you gotta go to work. So I've got a visual aid to show you how I get my ideas when they're just not naturally coming. So I call it the what if game, because you're never too old to play games. So the idea is that you'll take something everyday, normal, completely, you won't think twice about it, and then you'll ask what if. So my very bad drawing of a bell is the end of school day. You hear the bell, you're packing your stuff up, same as it ever was, and then I ask, what if? And it's, what if you go outside and you realize that your class is the only group of people left in the school? Not that you're running late, but they're just gone. No one. No one in the parking lot, no one in the street outside, gone. And then, when you've got your strange occurrence, what if, you start spitballing ideas. Now, on this stage, you just throw whatever you want out there. Don't criticize it at this stage, just throw it. So I came up with 3 ideas. The first one, reverse vampires. Is while you were in school, everyone else got attacked by reverse vampires who die in the moonlight. So they've all run off for shelter, and you are the last humans in your town. My second idea, aliens, because I've always wanted to write a book about aliens. I've never been able to. One day. So aliens have come and have either abducted your class without you realizing it, or has abducted everybody else. And my third idea, parallel universe. So this idea, I was thinking that your classroom, while you were in that last lecture, has been hurtled into a parallel universe that you won't really see or fully know until you cross the school boundary lines. So, first step over, and you're in a world no one from our universe has ever explored before. So, you'll pick one of these, and then you get to more work. Normally, you'll end up with a couple of these, which is just ideas and bullet points of scenes and characters and different events, just everything thrown out of your brain onto the page. And it looks like a jumbled mess because it is a jumbled mess. Because this is just the idea stage. The stage that follows is the polishing and the perfecting and the loophole filling and making it all into what it will hopefully be a brilliant plot. So that's how you get your ideas. And I believe that was the last question you've had for me. Thank you so much for inviting me and for listening and for enjoying probably my first ever videotape interview. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day, and I hope that there might be a few writers amongst you.